Hello everyone, thank you so much for coming out this afternoon for today's market recap for May 8th. I did notice that on the on the YouTube earlier it said May 7th, so I apologize if that confused anybody. It is in fact in about 5 minutes today on May 8th here in the Western United States. Today's presentation, today's special guest speaker is Sagar Nandi. Sagar is a very special investor and trainer who lives, I believe, in Singapore. He will be hosted today by Hunter Smith. A few things I'd like to talk about before we get going. First of all, we are sponsored as always by Metastock. Metastock is fantastic software if you're planning on trading or if you're planning on trading in these or analyzing the markets in these very special and unheralded market times. A couple things I'd like to mention. One, we do have a special, let's see if I can see that. We have a very special promotion going on right now at metastock.com/ADMM420. Actually, I think I made it easier on this one, sorry. Metastock.com/ADMM420, ADMM420. If you go over there right now, you will see many opportunities for discounts on, let me get myself back in focus again. Discounts on both Metastock as well as market data. We have superior market data as well as add-ons. It's all there, metastock.com/ADMM420. Another thing, we're often asked, good afternoon, Jeffrey Scott. Good afternoon, Rick Wise. It's good to see you have logged in. Thank you so much. Please let us know where you're from as you're coming on today. And again, we'll be starting in about 4 minutes. We are not simulcasting. This is the one thing we don't simulcast. We only do this on YouTube. So we are recording it right here. So when this presentation is over, you can come back right here and watch the recorded presentation. Is there anything else I need to tell you? I think that's about it. So we've got about 4 minutes. Again, because of the world situation, I'm broadcasting from my basement. Hunter will be broadcasting from his, I believe, living room, and Sagar, I believe, will be broadcasting from somewhere in Singapore, which I expect it's about 2 o'clock in the morning there. So kudos to him. I think it's honestly. Hey, what time is it in Singapore? Somebody tell me. Anyway, kudos to Sagar for whatever late time he's up and hanging out with us. I do see that he is now on, along with Hunter, so I'm going to switch over and talk to them for a second. I'm going to mute myself right now. Go ahead and enjoy this jazzy music while you're waiting for another 3 minutes. So I had a moment to speak with Sagar briefly. He's actually broadcasting from Thailand right now, where it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and he's sitting on his balcony looking at a beautiful moon. So again, our very special thank you to Sagar to adhering to these crazy United States and North American market hours. Anyway, I know you're going to enjoy what he has to say. He'll be covering this week's and probably giving you ways to navigate the market for next week. And Sagar is extremely popular and a great guy nonetheless, as well. Excuse me, a great guy as well. So we got about a minute, and I'll get out of the way. Thanks, guys.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's MetaStock Market Roundup. My name is Hunter Smith. Today is 5/8, May 8th, guys. It's can't believe the year's cruising by. We're yet another week in the quarantine. All of us in our lovely homes. Most of us probably wearing pants. Before we get too far into it, I wanted to cover the legal stuff. This demonstration is designed to instruct you on using Metastock and accompanying software plugins. It's not a recommendation to buy or sell, but rather guidelines to interpreting and using the specific indicators and features within the software. The information, software, and techniques presented today should be only used by investors who are aware of the risk inherent in trading. Metastock shall have no liability for any investment decisions based on the use of our software, any trading strategies, or information provided in connection with the company. Hope you guys could see that. There was a little bit more the legal stuff there, but moving on, today's guest is Mr. Sagar Nandi. Once again, he's been a friend of Metastock and a user of Metastock for a very long time. He has an amazing add-on with us, has done multiple live events with us as well. We're going to be covering some ins and outs of the market today, going to be discussing kind of where we stand and where we're looking to go. Sagar, can you hear me okay?
Hey Hunter, I can hear you clearly.
Wonderful. How are you? You're in Thailand currently, correct?
Yes, I'm doing fine. Thank you, Hunter. What about you?
I'm doing well. I always, when you say you're in Thailand, I always picture you on a beach in Thailand somewhere.
It is just across the beach.
Well, I was
It is
right there.
yes.
It is 3:30 a.m. there, and I really appreciate you staying up late, drinking a bunch of tea, and being with us this early morning and late afternoon our time when the markets close. Interestingly enough, we have a couple of things that I kind of wanted to discuss a little bit today. Unemployment in the U.S. came out today at 14.7%. Refinitiv, Reuters, Refinitiv was actually expecting that number to be at 16%. So we got a little bit of a positive reaction on the dollar today based off of unemployment, even though it's excruciatingly high. It's a little bit better than expected. And what's really just getting crushed right now is retail. Retail is J.C. Penney is going to be the next casualty of the retail. It looks like they're going to be filing for bankruptcy probably next week. Sagar, what are your thoughts on the market this week?
It's a good question, Hunter. And many people ask me that question. And sometimes I feel like sounding intelligent and I give a very nice explanation like most of us can do. But in my heart, I always think, how does it really matter what somebody sitting in Thailand is thinking about the market? He will have some opinion. Somebody sitting in Australia will have an opinion, and market will do whatever it wants to do. Therefore, though sometimes I don't mind sounding a little bit intelligent than I really is, what I prefer to do is let the market tell what it is doing. And market always leaves not breadcrumbs, it is like elephant footsteps to see what is really happening. And those who are using Metastock, I'm using Metastock for a very, very long time, long before Hunter you joined Metastock. I have been user for decades. And with the Zenith and Metastock and some of the tools that I use, there are enough signals to tell me what the market is doing. And you mentioned about the employment data. Interestingly, yesterday I was talking to one trader who is from Panama. He was asking, Sagar, do you look at those data? And may I share my screen? Let me see.
Yes, I think I sent the.
Okay,
There we
okay,
go.
great. Then I'm going to share some thought that may or may not be aligned with what other people use while looking at the market. I opened up the chart of S&P 500 ETF SPY, beautiful metastock, colorful chart. No label, it's intuitive. And I asked that fine gentleman, when I look at this chart or you look at this chart, when you look back, can you tell me which days were the unemployment number days? And the answer was very clear to him and me that we cannot. Then I posed another question to him, another question to ponder about, and that is a process of elimination that I have used over the years to eliminate everything that I don't need. And that comes from one question to a trader like myself. Is it something that if I eliminate, going to affect my trading result? If the answer is no, I ruthlessly eliminate that. And to me, for most of the cases, employment number, unemployment number, I have access to those data. I look at it. I have real-time access because of Zenith, but I am not worried about that. I also told him there are certain events on known dates that are of importance, around which dates I don't like to trade. One being, for example, US presidential election or FOMC rate decision. I have access to Zenith data. I look at the economic events, which ones are up today, which ones are up next week, but I don't make my trading decisions based on that. Neither do I worry about that because I have realized if I eliminate that piece of information, my trading result didn't have any negative effect. So I'd rather spend time with you, Hunter, or with Netflix or my imaginary girlfriend than worrying about that.
Well, in this type of market, it's. I mean, again, and I feel like I say this almost every time. I do one of these international market recaps. Is that this market has been completely fueled by fear, but there's a line that I think we're starting to see that uh, our down push, this massive drop that you have on SPY here, that massive drop was completely fueled by fear. However, the numbers are going to start backing that fear up as far as unemployment coming out and us really realizing that our pharmaceuticals will probably go up, but as far as meat shutdowns, and we have foods and agricultures that are suffering right now because they actually have too much supply and not enough demand. um, I think we're going to start hitting that curve here soon, but instead of uh, guessing and trying to uh, identify where the market's going to go based off of fear, I think that your approach with just using the technicals is so much more powerful. But again, like you said, sprinkling in certain dates here, when an unemployment date comes out or the Fed comes out, et cetera, that's important to keep in mind. But if we can't necessarily identify what's going to happen if unemployment comes out at this specific rate, or um, what this fear-driven market is going to do, it's easier just to be calculating based off of the facts and the figures, what we do know. Would you agree?
Yes, yes. And looking at news provides nothing more than psychological support. I have somebody else to blame. If I lose money, I can always blame it on coronavirus. If I lose money on the way up, I can blame it on everybody on CNBC or wherever they are talking about bearishness. Now, I don't look at only technicals. I'm a Zenith user, and you talked about certain industries, pharmaceuticals, agriculture. I don't guess where they are going. I have everything at the tip of my finger, what exactly is going on, including in real time. So if I look at the top graph, it is showing me today all the sectors are up, and they are up by, these are large percentages for a sector. Sector is a very high level classification of the stocks. 5.7% for consumer discretionary, 6.9% for energy, 5.2% for materials. Whereas if you look at previous 5 days, all the sectors were down. So I'm not guessing. I can see that sectors improved rapidly. Over 5 days, it was 0 up, 11 down. Over 2 days, excluding today market just closed, 5 were up, 6 were down. It was still on balance, slightly negative, and today it became fully bullish. Now, sector is very high level, and you talked about some industries. I could have another look at the sectors across 12 monthly review periods and then recent periods, or I could directly go to the industries. We saw 11 out of 11 sectors were up today. How many industries are up? 141 up, 7 down. I can double click to sort them. These are the industries that are up. If I am looking for buying opportunities, I could buy in any of them. Maybe automobile manufacturer, maybe coal and consumable fuel, maybe laser facilities. However contrarian it may be to the news that is flowing. Airlines, they are supposed to do poorly, and indeed it was weak for a long time. What this heat map is showing me that if I wanted to buy airline, if I wanted to buy laser facilities, today was the day probably. I could also highlight the top 10 industries. I may not know where I find a good stock, and I can drill down by clicking this peer analysis button, all the stocks in all those industries. Which are the industries? They are 10 best performers, and I get probably hundreds of stocks. What I did then, I looked at the market. Market is looking bullish. Sectors are turning to bullishness. I looked at the 10 best industries. I found a number of stocks. Before looking at technicals, why don't I look at the stocks that are strongest in terms of fundamentals? I'm using primarily two dimensions. One is valuation. It's not based on price movement. It is based on actual companies' performance, earnings data, etc. That is valuation, not based on how low price is. That is overbought or oversold. That is not valuation. This is true valuation of a stock relative to its peers in the industry group. And I'm also looking at earnings per share growth year over year in the latest quarter. There are many stocks. I can click the star button to find the strongest one. And you can see less than a second, I am now left with only 4 stocks that are of excellent valuation, undervalued stocks. Not only they have great earnings growth in the last quarter, in successive quarters also. Are they going up now? At least 2 of them are going up. One of them, ALGT, went up today by 13.8%. MDP went up by 10.5%. Now is the time, probably. This is what you may call top-down analysis. I closed SPY chart. I came back to these two stocks, and there is a chart icon. It is going to bring those two stocks on our lovely Metastock charting platform. And this is one, MDP, Meredith Corporation. And there are nice hotkeys in Metastock. This is the other one, ALGT. When I look at ALGT, there is a resistance trend line automatically drawn. So I'm not so keen to buy it. I'm going to close it. I am left with MDP. Let's look at MDP using weekly, daily chart template. And I have set up everything at the menu bar. Metastock allows that. So at the click of a button, I can have multiple perspective of the stock. From a single daily chart, I came to weekly and daily, and every chart looks different. The templates are saying a different story. What is the story in the weekly chart? It dropped, tried to stabilize, dropped again. The backdrop color, weekly, you can think of a backdrop against which the daily is playing out. It turned from magenta to cyan yellow again, and now turning bullish again. These two dots are indicating that we had extreme bullish pressure. If I look back, the previous pressure was also bullish. So though it is consolidating for a while, the last three pressure weeks are on the bullish side. Again, just green is bullish. What is happening in the daily? It fell down. It created a base. It was inside a triangle formed by the resistance trend line, support trend line, and just today it broke out of the support trend line. And today's flow color is also cyan, that is bullish. Let me align the, it came yesterday. So yesterday's candle color was cyan. That would be the optimal buy point. However, the memory resistance was there yesterday. We would not buy. Today would be the buy point. What did I do? I didn't look at employment data. I didn't hypothesize what is going up, what is going down, which sector, which industry. I looked at the market. Market was
And
looking good. And then I looked at sectors. I went to industries, best industries, top 10. I went to stocks, found the best fundamental stocks in terms of both valuation and earnings growth. Then I looked at the technicals at the end, and in a few minutes, I found a stock MDP. Now,
well, and what's
one may
interesting
consider.
about it is this top-down approach that you use all the time. The top-down approach is, again, with this, we're using facts and figures. We're using um, what the rest of the industry and sector is using, and then we're finding what moves that sector. And I think that that's really important because I'm sure you guys have heard before the rising tide raises all boats, befriend the trend. I mean, there's a million of those sayings out there, but what we're saying is follow the general direction of the market. And with the way that Sagar does it, it's very, very interesting because you can look at it sector down and then identify the individual buying opportunities. So with this, Sagar, is this something that you would look at a bullish position, say on Monday with?
Because me and some of my fellow traders, we all use Zenith. We have real-time data. So our preferred entry is actually just before market close. Now, of course, before buying, I would like to do a fundamental and peer analysis. I looked at MDP, but before buying, why don't I use another system, type the symbol MDP, and let this program do the work. It is going to look at same or similar industry. It retrieved some data about the stock, Meredith. Interestingly, if somebody is following me on Twitter, twitter.com Sagar Nandi, or my forum or my YouTube page, Meredith was a stock that I discussed earlier. we can see now. It retrieved the data, it calculated what I call fundamental scorecard. Valuation is excellent, secondary valuation is also excellent. We don't even need to look at the score, the color is enough. In addition, it has a short squeeze potential, earnings quality is great earnings growth as well. The company makes money, earnings per share is positive. Earnings was today, okay. So earnings was today, that is good. If earnings is already out, then I could buy today. If earnings is out after market hours, then I may wait for tomorrow. However, as I mentioned, I retrieved a number of peer stocks in the publishing industry. Before buying, why don't I have a look at them? These are the handful of peer stocks. I see only two of them are having great valuation. So I can just focus on them. And now I see Meredith, MDP, both of them are undervalued, cyan color undervaluation column, but Meredith has great earnings growth, positive earnings growth, bright green, whereas TPCO has negative red earnings growth. So now I have done my homework. I just didn't stop at the top-down analysis. Once I found a stock, I looked at the peer stocks, and MDP is the best in that group. So now I have done my homework. Nobody can predict the market. I certainly cannot. But if I had to buy a stock in a strong sector, in a strong industry with strong fundamentals, giving a breakout trade setup, MDP is one. But that is not only one today. Today, I'm sure using the same, I call 360 degrees technique, there are plenty of opportunities today.
I'm sure that there are, quite a few opportunities, but it's, it's good when you look at the market this way because you can narrow it down to, one or two trading opportunities versus having, 100 different results on a single scan come back and have to go through, every single one and apply the chart, et cetera. It's just it's much easier when you're able to do your due
True,
diligence all in
true, true,
one
true.
place.
Now, if somebody wants to follow only technical, I know some people do that. Then you end up with a number of stocks. You look at those charts one by one and try to figure out which one is the best. What I am doing is I'm using the technicals, but I am also saying why not, if I find 20 stocks that are technically strong, why don't I find one that is in a strong industry plus is having strong fundamentals? By the way, this is just one technique that I use based on this system on Metastock, but I use bottom up also. I love the scanning feature of Metastock. In fact, I have not one or two, I have 53 scans. However, for a regular routine, I run only these two scans and they're extremely powerful. I think in the market, there is nothing else available that matches what these two scans can do. And let me demonstrate. This is what it comes up with. I ran it on thousands of stocks in real time. This is the result. It's beautiful, isn't it? Doesn't make any sense. I know Hunter is thinking this doesn't make any sense. How do I make anything out of it? So what I'm going to do, copy all and come to this beautiful program. Click the binocular button, that is the icon for Explorer in Metastock. Now now it is starting to make sense. I have the data in long, I have the data in short. But before going there, let me have a look at the graph. I like to look at graphs and colors. There are multiple signals here. High pressure, I talked about that when reading the chart. Gap up, gap down moves, breakouts. MDP gave a breakout today. Possible pullback in uptrend or retracement in downtrend, and then trend following, etc. How I have grouped these signals, that is, this group of signals, they refer to, they signify trend continuation, and these later signals signify trend reversal. So first one is trend continuation, prevailing trend, and this is trend reversal. Currently, most of the trend continuation signals have much bigger, not most, all of them actually have much bigger green bar. So the trend is clearly up. And this is another and very unique perspective of the market. It is not looking at the market ETFs or futures or anything like that. It is looking at the different kinds of continuation and reversal signals scanned over thousands of stocks. When it is bullish, now I can go to the long tab and I can find some of the best performers today. Or I could find which ones gave the maximum number of signals. Or if I'm looking for breakout trades, I have plenty of breakouts today. If I'm looking for trend following, I can do that. This is where you may start your analysis also. If you want to look at these few stocks that gave four signals today, now I have a choice to go to the charts, and I'm going to go to Metastock chart, close the charts. From I call Finder, this is a Finder tool. I could look at the stocks that gave maximum number of signals. And for example, what is the reading from first stock, Hasco? It is giving me bullish pressure today. It has a gap up move. It is also breaking out of trend line. It has a possible trend following signal today. Not only that, this week it touched a memory trend line. That means today it is breaking out and this week it touched a support. So it was inside a triangle. And I could read all that from here before opening the chart. And indeed, it came to the support and now it is breaking out. It is giving a cyan flow color candle. This is also giving me a possible breakout trade setup. Interestingly, this signal, this is the headwind reversal signal, could catch the very top. I could look at the chart from Finder, or if I wanted, I could look at these stocks, or I could also look at the ones that are up by, for example, more than 10%, let's say these ones. I could check their fundamentals first. And you can do it in different ways. Finally, you will end up with stocks which are fundamentally strong, which are technically strong, and which are in strong industries. Bottom up, top down, or there are other workflows also that is possible.
One of the things that we have been chatting about for a while is kind of what, where is the buying point with this type of market? We understand that, a lot of stocks are, they're on sale right now, essentially. They've gone through and had large sell-offs. And now we have a lot of investors that are looking to take advantage of their low pricing. So we have a couple of stocks, if it's okay with you, Sagar, that we'd love. Oh, do we lose audio? No, we can. We have a couple of stocks that we'd love for you to look at
Sure.
and do a little bit of analysis on, if that's okay with you. Kind of do a little bit of a back and forth
That's
on
why I
these.
joined the webinar today.
Yeah. We thought
I
you were
love
staying
to
up
look
till
at
5 o'clock in the
stocks.
morning just to,
Yes,
just to
yes, I love this. Yes,
see my
let
pretty
me.
face.
Yes,
ATVI.O. So let's take a look at Activision.
ATVI.
Mhm.
Now, I can always look at the chart. Why don't I, for a change, look at the fundamentals first? And people may have their view of a stock being good or bad. Now people are in quarantine. Maybe people are thinking that this is a strong industry. What we think is different from what is the reality, and we are going to find out. It already retrieved the industry. I'm going to click the cog icon, and industry, see the thing. The time to buy a stock in the industry was some time ago. See the strength of the industry in the earlier periods. What about today? Is it the best candidate today? No, no. Whatever I may think, the best time might have passed as a as an industry. About the stock, let's find out. It retrieved the data, calculated everything. Valuation wise, it is not undervalued. Earnings growth is there, so it can still be a buy candidate. Now I'm going to open it on my chart, atvi.o, and it is up already. Remember what we saw on the industry pattern? It started to go up earlier. Why will I buy a stock at 72 when it gapped up already? I could buy earlier, for example, right on this day. If I can magnify the chart, right on this day, it gave a cyan color candle. That is a trend following long trade setup. Weekly was already bullish backdrop. It was going up in an uptrend with higher high, higher low, dipped a little bit, tilted up with a cyan color candle. That was the buy point. There was the stop. By now, partial profit has been booked. Now, if somebody didn't take it, will they take it? Actually, I don't mind somebody else buying now. If I entered earlier, I could sell to them at least partial position.
Yeah, and Activision's an interesting one, because of it is by some considered as a value stock, but I'm looking at this very, very similar to you. They didn't have a huge, I mean, they had a little bit of a loss here mid-March with the market, but they've stayed
They
relatively
actually
strong
didn't
the
drop
entire
much.
time.
You observed it
Yeah.
rightly. The drop was much earlier, not due to
Mhm.
coronavirus. There was no
Right.
drop. If you see from December, January, it hardly dropped relative to the market. So when it dropped little bit, started to go up, that time one could start to buy the stock.
Yeah,
Now
that slight
it's a little
reversal.
late.
I mean, it stays above its 200 period moving average, something that I use quite often. It's a pretty strong stock, and especially now that we've ended with a gap up, move sideways. We have a doji at the top. Um, I'm
True, true.
I'm not too bullish on this stock.
I,
I
I
feel like
will, I
there's
will,
better
I
value
will, I will,
stocks.
I'll make a statement here. I will separate two things. One, the stock is bullish or not, and second, whether the optimal buy point is now or not. I will say it is bullish because weekly is bullish in my chart. Cyan color bullish candle. Daily is going up, gapped up 3 days ago, steady at that price level. I cannot say it is not bullish. However, in my view, the optimal buy point was here. And on that day, I could find it from Finder. Why why would I wait here? So it's bullish in my view, but I wouldn't buy now. I would have bought 5 days ago.
Sure, bullish, but not necessarily what I would consider a
Buy
value
point at
stock.
a
Yeah,
low risk buy point. Yes.
yeah. Let's take a look at something different here. How about HD for Home Depot? Now, if Home Depot stocks are anything like the lines at Home Depot right now, then it's definitely a time to buy. But I want
Time
to
to
get a
buy.
little bit, yeah,
That's why I love these webinars, Hunter. When you give me stocks and either you or somebody already has an opinion, let's see whether that is true or not. And I have no idea. I didn't know you were going to give me that stock. So I am going to start with Home Depot. It is in home improvement retail industry. Let me check out the industry. Again, I am trying to buy for short-term trading, holding period 5 days to 10 days, when it started to turn into brighter cyan color here. I wouldn't buy today when it decreased in strength. That is the reading from industry. Let me refresh the industries again. If I look at the strongest industries today, the 10 that I was looking for buying opportunities, they were weak earlier. Now it is turning into strength. And some of them may not be what you expect. In fact, one trader friend submitted a very nice post on a steel stock. It's not a gaming stock, it's not related to quarantine. I will look at that probably, but let's complete the analysis on Home Depot. Industry wise, it's not the best day today. What about fundamental valuation is not optimal. It has some earnings growth, but not great. Now I can look at the chart. Let's look at Home Depot. I'm trying to find stocks that are at an optimal buy point. Again, this is a stock. This is a stock that is bullish. I can never say it is not bullish. But the optimal buy point for me was, for example, here using a go with flow trend following long setup, or probably here, I would not be happy to buy when the stock is already up so much. In fact, in the weekly chart, when it came to the watermark pivot level, where the headwind reversal had come earlier, what I call it created a false downside breakout, stopped out the weak hands. Right on the day, I could switch to the daily chart when it was going up above this support again. From that time, I would start to think buying. It is up from that price around 157 to 200, 200 what, 34. I would
34.
rather
Well,
buy at a lower price. Again, I don't mind others buying at a higher price so that I can book partial profit.
well, and one of the things to look at here, again, kind of using some of the things that I use with the 200 period moving average, we lost with the market downfall a significant amount of value. We're looking at its low was 153. Its high before was 240, some odd, about 246,
Yes,
right around that area. So it lost a significant amount of value over the course of a month's time. However,
yes,
at this point, there is no doubt, just like you said, that it is a bullish stock.
yes.
However, have we missed that point since it's just about $10 off of where it started losing? Now, if we look at kind
True.
of a longer term trend, yes, Home Depot has been trending up for quite some time. So again, it comes back to that. Is it a bullish stock? Is it going to continue going up long term?
It is a
Yes.
bullish stock. Home Depot is a brand name, it's a well-known stock. Now, Hunter, you pointed to a very important thing in trading. Many traders are looking for comfort. They are buying stocks that are already up. Who are making money? The people who are making money are, or at least more money, are those who are buying at a lower price when the comfort, at least the visual comfort, was not there. I showed a stock Meredith. People probably will say, no, no, I'll not buy that now. And while we are on this discussion, let me share one post and maybe the viewers can think. This is not my post, though it is on sagarnandi.com. One trader friend shared a similar analysis on the stock. Mr. Rick, he looked at the market holistically. Materials is using real-time data. He is also using Zenith-based tools. Materials was strong today. Now, there is a way to look at the best performing stocks under different categories. He didn't do top down, he didn't do bottom up, he just went to the best performing undervalued stocks. He found this one, SXC, up by at that time 17 plus percentage. As we do, he looked at the industry, and just at one glance, this is not Home Depot, where it is already up for a long time for the industry as a whole. It was weak for a long time. Whatever people think is different from what market is doing. Steel is actually going up. Is 144. In fact, it may be one of the strongest. At least the time when he analyzed it, it was probably the strongest or very close to the strongest. Then he looked at the valuation of the stock, what I call a star buying candidate in terms of fundamentals, excellent valuation, excellent earnings quality, short squeeze potential. Okay, not a star candidate because earnings growth is negative, but a trade candidate because great valuation. And he looked at the chart. Let's open it on MetaStock, SXC. Now keep the picture of Home Depot in mind and look at this stock. Some traders look for comfort. They wait for the same stock to go from currently $3.5 to $10, $11, $12 before buying. But this gentleman looked at the headwind signal coming in daily, created a double bottom, a retest. There was a memory resistance. Today, it sharply broke out with a bullish pressure, very high volume. In the weekly, it gave the same headwind reversal signal. There was a trendline resistance. Today is Friday, the week is closed. It broke out. If you are comparing this with ATVI, with Home Depot and Meredith, you will see there is a pattern. The questions we tend to get from novice traders are on stocks that are already up because they are looking for comfort. And the trades found by more experienced traders like Rick, they are finding the jewels at a lower price, if I am allowed to say that.
Yeah, and this is a case where when we were doing these um, market roundups over the last few weeks, obviously it's been kind of hectic. The market's been primarily up and down. We've all looked at these larger stocks. Things like Microsoft. Microsoft is going to have, I'm looking at a Microsoft chart on my screen right now. It has a really, really similar chart to Home Depot, where yes, it lost quite a bit of its value. It was a value stock, but then we started going up and we had these secondary moves. And now it's basically back where it was when we lost that type of value. So I don't think that these major stocks are going to be value stocks at this point. I think that they could still be good longer term investments, especially Microsoft. You're saving a few bucks versus the midway through February when we really started crashing out. Microsoft, again, and looking at your chart, Sagar, it's very, very bullish. It is a bullish stock. As far as a short term, if you want to purchase Microsoft, I feel like we would want we have this doji at top right now. I would wait for a movement, a regression, a slight regression like we had, looks like April 13th. I would look for kind of a little bit of a regression and then buy at the bottom there. But I'm
True.
just not seeing these major stocks as what I would consider a value stock right now. Something that you're looking at in the steel stocks, yeah, those are value stocks.
Yes, and I am using the term value carefully. I am using the term value in terms of fundamentals, not in terms of chart pattern. In terms of chart pattern, on this day, there was a trend following long setup. I would have bought on that day, not today. It is bullish. But when I am talking about value hunter, I am not actually talking about price move. By that, any stock that is at 52-week low will be value stock. And let me show that is not true. If I go to this 1000 plus stocks, let me find the value stocks. These are all stocks with great valuation. Again, not based on price move, but based on fundamental data. And see one interesting thing. Let's see how many of these value stocks are actually near 52-week high. So let's find filter by color, filter by number, less than or greater than 10. Let's just sort it. See, these are the stocks that are just 10%, 13% below 52-week high. If you just looked at it from a price move perspective on the chart, you would say these are not value stocks. But that is not, in my view, the accurate way, because price change is very different from fundamentals in terms of earnings growth, in terms of dividend, etc. What I'm able to see that in fact there are a lot of value stocks that are near 52-week high. And if I did the opposite exercise, I'm getting the overvalued stocks, and some of them are near 52-week low. You see, these stocks are very close to 52-week low, 2%, 4%, 6% above 52-week low, very close, but doesn't mean they are value. So if we use the terms in their proper way, it doesn't mean that a stock at 52-week high is overvalued. It doesn't mean a stock near 52-week low is undervalued. We have to look at the fundamentals and technicals differently, and we have the data. We are able to do that. Interestingly, we found a lot of stocks that are value stocks at 52-week high, and there are traders who like to buy breakout stocks. I think those will be great candidates. And these are undervalued. Why don't I also look at stocks that are having great earnings growth? So I clicked somewhere, and these are the stocks that are having consistent earnings growth for 3 successive quarters, some of them even over yearly periods, excellent valuation, and see, some of them are actually near 52-week high. So it doesn't always mean that near 52 high means it is overvalued. That's not true. And some of these stocks are known also to people, FT&T, Fortinet, Autodesk. These are strong companies. But I didn't had an opinion. I just click certain button and let Zenith and this system give me the stocks. And if I'm looking at breakout candidates at 52-week high, I think that is also a possible trading technique, like the IBD style cup and handle trading technique. I think these will be great candidates. High growth stocks, great valuation, and near 52-week high.
We do have a couple of suggestions for stocks to look at. MSI. It's just MSI.
MSI.
Uh-huh. Should be
Motorola.
Motorola.
Okay. Okay. Everything is magenta and red, so I'm not going to buy it. I don't buy when a stock is falling, and today it in fact broke below the trend line support. Two things can happen, many things can happen, but one thing that will lead me to think about buying it if it recovers above this trend line support, creating what I call a bounce long trade setup. I can see it fell with very high volume. If it reverses, that will create a false downside breakout, and that may be taken as a long opportunity with stop just below this candle. Alternatively, and that may be a better entry point if price drops to this memory trendline support, which would also mean it will come to the weekly support. And if you see this weekly trend line, automatically drawn smart trend line, is coming from far, far, far away. And when they come from far away, they have robust support. That is what I have observed. If price comes there and bounces up, that will be great. And it is not always possible to track it. So people can put an alert, let's say around 85 price level. If Motorola comes to 85, let it email me and I will wake up and then think of buying. Or I can put an alert if it is going above this price level, 130, 637, alert me and I will have a look at that.
Tell me what you think about this. On Motorola, 125 is kind of an interesting level, which we can see a couple of times. A couple of weeks ago, starting on March 23rd, we dropped down, we recovered, we dropped back down to that area like April 1st, right around that area. We're back down to the low of today was close to let's see, the low was what, 124. But what's interesting about that 125 level is if you go back to September of basically from August to December of 2018, it stayed. All of the price action was right in that 125 level. So, do you think that has any bearing? Should we be looking at possibly a bounce off of that 125 level?
That is also possible. That is also possible. In the weekly, there is a watermark support level. The support was held at this point also. Therefore, it could bounce from this trend line support or from this watermark support. Either of them could give a trade setup. If it is bouncing from trend line, I will call it a bounce. If it is bouncing from watermark, I'll call it a box. That is a sideways or double bottom trade setup. But that is a very nice observation. Now, if we did all that, why don't I check out its fundamentals? But I like this stock. If you ask me, compared to, okay, I like means it's not at a buy point yet, but why I like it vis-a-vis ATVI or Home Depot, because those are already up. I'm not thinking of buying them now, but let's look at MSI's fundamental. MSI, it is in communications equipment industry. Why don't I check the industry first? I always look for stocks where industry is also strong, fundamentals are good, technicals are good. So when I look at this industry, I'm not actually not interested personally, because again, if I can find stocks where everything is aligned, why would I not trade that? Why would I trade Motorola? It's not my company. It's not my company. I don't have to put money in Motorola. I would rather buy SXC, the steel company, because that is in a strong industry. Having said that, no harm looking at the fundamentals. The valuation is in the middle, earnings growth positive, but not great. So if I think about what I call 360 degrees, it's not my trade, but I can imagine why somebody might look for it to bounce from a support.
It does look interesting. I'm not terribly bullish on it at this point, but it might be something to watch down the road. The next one that we have is FLT. Just FLT. Should be, looks like Fleet Core.
This is, in my view, this is at a more interesting point. Some positive things, some negative things. This is not at a buy point in my view. The buy point was earlier, not now. We talked about this watermark support bounce. When we are talking about MSI, I would rather buy a stock like FLT when it bounced from this long-term weekly watermark pivot where a headwind reversal came earlier. From there, price rapidly went up. It is expected that when price retests that level, some of those people, and those are not small people like me, those who had the ability to turn this significant downtrend into a massive uptrend, those are not small traders in my view. So when price came to that level, it is possible they will buy again. That is a hypothesis, but in this case, it indeed came true. So the theory that we were going to apply on MSI, we could have applied on FLT when it came here, meaning when it came here also probably there was a watermark bounce. Now, why it is interesting in a way is that it is coming to the trend line. If it can go up again from the trend line, it's a positive thing. Whereas if I look at the weekly candle, and the weekly candle is closed now, it's Friday today, this is not bullish candle. At best, it is mixed. So I will pass.
And this one is interesting because I think that it does seem to be hanging around that trend line. We lost half of its. Well, I mean, we've gotten back about half of its value that it lost from February and March. But honestly, I mean, it was trending up. It reversed again a little bit. It started trending up again, and then you see those yellow candles in the middle, followed by
Yes.
what we would consider a bearish engulfing candle from a candlestick trader point of view. Very, very strong bearish signal from a candlestick trader's point of
Yes.
view.
True. True. True.
Um,
Today's
and that shows a
candle is
lot of it.
also not very bullish at all. There is a
Yeah,
reversal shown here. In fact, this signal is also not very bullish.
yeah. I would
Let's
think
let's
with
check
this one,
its
I
FLT.
I would hang out on it and kind of watch it. But let's see. You were checking its fundamentals.
Hunter, I have a question for anybody who is looking for a trade. You are waiting to buy a stock. Aren't there many stocks to buy today?
Did
Why
you
are
say
you waiting for FLT? Why are you waiting for another stock? There are plenty of stocks to buy today. If you look at technicals, fine. If you want to combine fundamentals, any way you look at, there are plenty of stocks. So my question is, why am I waiting for FLT? Is it my mother's company? I don't think so.
well, it raises a really, really good point. In a lot of cases, and I'm guilty of this as much as anyone else, a lot of cases it's not necessarily, it's not why are you waiting to buy it, but why are you trying to convince yourself that that's the correct stock to buy? So I'm emotionally, like you said, does my mom own it? I'm emotionally committed to the stock either because I'm already in the position or I read an article that convinced me that I need to buy this
Yes,
stock.
yes.
So
And while I am waiting, the opportunities are passing me by.
mhm, mhm. I, I I I agree. There's plenty of other instruments that you can trade.
Plenty, today, plenty, plenty. If you
Plenty.
look at the Finder output, see how many breakouts. In- I want to highlight one more thing. When you look at SPY today, S&P 500, what did it do? It broke out of a consolidation pattern, broke out of two memory, meaning automatically done trend line rest. When the market is breaking out in daily, weekly is bullish, the best trades to look for are the breakout trades. How many are there? Plenty, plenty. Let's look at them. Filter by color. Plenty. And how much did they go up? Lot. Let's just look at some of them. Are they great fundamentally? We could look at them. I'm sure that you will find fundamentally strong stocks from those that went up by massive percentage today. Not only went up, they gave a breakout setup that is perfectly tuned to the market as of today. It's not only SPY that broke out. I think Dow Jones Industrial Average also made a breakout. We can find out if the it seems it also broke out. Now I may look for comfort and wait for Dow Jones Industrial Average to come to 290, or I can take a low risk position, but not in DIA because DIA is an average of many stocks, 30 stocks, SPY, average of 500 stocks. Why do I buy average? I would rather look at some of the stocks that are fundamentally strong in strong industries and going up. And I found these star candidates. They are of great valuation, great earnings growth in the last quarter. They went up between 6 and 13%. While I'm waiting for FLT, I'm waiting for other stocks. These are there probably to buy today. And incidentally, MDP again is back here.
Now we did have a question about MDB by Ralph. Sagar showed MDP earlier. What does he say about earnings Monday before market?
If it is earnings is before Monday, eh, sometimes dates don't match up. Here it is showing 8th May, so maybe after market hours. That means before Monday. Then I would not suggest buying the stock for short-term holding. I don't
Yeah.
do myself, so I'm not going to suggest. If the earnings was already out today, it is giving a breakout trade setup as of today, like SXC. In fact, SXC I think had earnings today. Why I like SXC, can I tell you, Hunter, one more thing? You look at the peer analysis of SXC, and the gentleman is perfectly to the point that if MDP has earnings on Monday, it's not a good idea in my view also. But look at SXC. I want to point out one thing. This is in a steel industry. And I showed that not my thought, my hypo is very strong today and it is improving. What I didn't show you, if you look at the PR stocks, 17 PR stocks, how many are up today? All 100% up. That is the industry to buy. Not wait for 10 days, not look for FLT in my view. This is the industry to buy today. 17 out of 17 stocks are up.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, we're looking at the numbers there. Those are the facts. I think that earnings is a good point because earnings can really throw a wrench
Yes, that will be
into the
speculative
works.
just to
Yeah,
buy one
yeah.
day before
So we,
earnings.
again, the idea, the whole idea behind technical analysis or metastock or all of these different tools that you can use is to put all the odds, as many odds as you can, in your favor. And I think that earnings is not something that is
It's not
calculable.
putting odds to our favor.
Yeah,
It's gambling.
exactly. Exactly. You're exactly right. It's gambling. So we want to take that out of the equation, and we want as few amount of variables in a variable filled industry as humanly possible.
True.
Um, so it sounds like your big pick for right now, what you're really bullish on for a long position would be XSC in the steel
Actually, plenty,
industry.
plenty, Hunter, plenty. So many that I will not be able. If you look at the finder, how many breakouts? SPY is breaking out, DIA is breaking out. I just did a very quick look at some of these stocks. There are plenty, and see by how much percentage they went up. Plenty. Yeah, anybody can have the stocks are here. You may check out. Many of them are breaking out. Let's okay. Let me do this and let me to speed up. Open them only with the daily chart. Let's look at some of them breaking out. Not everybody is fond of breakout. Not that I'm a very big fan of breakout, but if the market is breaking out today in terms of S&P 500 and Dow Jones Industrial Average, look at the stocks. PLCE, it has a breakout. I'm pressing the hotkey to switch through the stocks. Viacom has a breakout. MDP, we looked at it, has a breakout. AL has a breakout. ITC, plenty. And you may look at their fundamentals industries, you will find stocks that are going up. PLT, plenty of breakouts. This is also very strong. VIPs. So it's not just SXC. SXC I highlighted because a fine gentleman shared it, took the effort to share it. I didn't share it, but I like the stock. But there are plenty today. Much better looking than FLT, in fact. I
Well,
think that gentleman is not going to be happy with me.
giving away his secrets. Well, and I think, and one of my last points before we wrap up here, I think that we're talking about these stocks that gap up, and we're looking at one VIP shop right now. How do you feel about the concern of exhaustion after a breakout in a massive range bar like that?
If
So
we are trading based on emotion, our trading account will reflect it, and trust me, that will not be very pretty. We have to trade based on what the market is doing. If we read too much news, if we read news can be unaffected by that, that's fine. But if we start to think that the whole world is going to an end because of coronavirus and because of conflict, geopolitical issues, this country is doing that, we'll miss the opportunity. We'll buy, but we'll buy when market makes all-time high. And that's exactly what happened, didn't it? This is what happened. Those who looked for comfort were buying all the way. I would rather buy here or here or now. Why I am saying now? Because my risk is low. I know where to put my stop. Stop is narrow. To make profit, in my view, we manage risk first. We don't manage profit first. We manage profit, but manage risk first. That's my view.
Risk is, I mean, risk management is can never be overstated, and we have webinars upon webinars about risk management. But
Yes.
you know, I agree. It's you know, it is taking the hype and emotion out of your trading, and that's the most important thing.
True.
Um,
And small losses are our friends. I don't worry about taking a trade, getting stopped out. If the market reverses, what will happen? I'll stop out of some trades. I'm never trying or thinking or imagining or dreaming of having 100% successful trades anyway.
yeah, what's the fun in that? Keeps you
Yeah.
honest too, you know, because when you fail at 5 trades, but you win on the 6th, and it's more, you know, you generate more profit off of that than what you lost on the previous 5. It's
Yes,
showing
yes. And
your,
and and,
it's showing
and
the work works.
people have told if a trader is not willing to take small loss, the market will force him or her to take big loss.
Yeah,
And I
totally.
entirely agree with that.
Well, let's wrap up here. Sagar, you've been an amazing guest as always. We love the analysis
By
that
the
you
way,
do.
I have to mention one thing,
Yeah.
Hunter. I like FLT. I don't want to end Friday with somebody being angry with me. You know, I shared my view, but FLT could be a very good stock. I'm not, frankly, when I'm doing these webinars, I'm not looking at the detail of the company. FLT may have a strong management team. They
Right,
may be coming out with new products.
right.
They have some innovation in the pipeline. So please understand, when I am doing this kind of analysis, I am not looking at the holistic picture. So I must apologize to the gentleman. I was not trying to discredit FLT in any way. I didn't look at the entire picture. So FLT may indeed be a great company.
And we just hope that his mom doesn't own it. Otherwise, we'll be in more trouble.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Well, my friend, it's a pleasure as always. Thanks so much for being our guest. Sagar, tell the fine folks on YouTube right now how to get a hold of you uh, if they
My
want to learn more about
email.
your tools, etc.
Okay, let me just show my favorite PowerPoint slide, other than the disclaimer that I couldn't show today. This is my second most favorite slide. This is my email ID, tradingprofitably@gmail.com or info@sagarnandi.com, my YouTube channel, my traders forum, Twitter. Everything is open to the public. Most of them, you can say, open to the public. I share trade analysis regularly.
And he's always good if you have questions. You know, definitely get a hold of him, and he's more than happy to walk you through
Through
this.
email, yes, yes.
And without doing too much of a shameless plug, of course, we have the majority of his tools within Metastock. So
I love
welcome,
Metastock. You have
If
1 more minute, Hunter?
I have 1 more minute, yes.
Okay. Over the years, there had been a discussion, Metastock versus everything else. I think as of now, when people ask me, there are multiple choices, but there is one product I cannot trade without. That is Metastock and Zenith.
Well, I appreciate that plug, so I didn't have to do it. You're completely impartial.
And all my
you know.
all my forum post tweets, they use. I couldn't trade without those systems.
Well, and definitely let us know out there in the audience if you have questions about some of the tools that you saw today. Also, Sagar is more than happy to kind of walk you through some of those things. In summation today, trade with facts and figures. Don't trade with hype and emotion. I hope
Yes.
all of you are staying safe. Sagar, thanks again so much.
Thank you, Hunter, and thank you everybody for joining.
Now,
Have a
please go get some sleep. Go get some
Yes,
sleep.
I will do that. Thank you, thank you. Have a good day. Bye bye.
Bye-bye. Now, everyone in the audience, thanks so much for attending. If you have questions, feel free to contact Sagar. Feel free to contact us. Stay safe out there. I hope you're doing wonderful in your trading. And, you know, as always, happy trading. See you guys.